What would you say most support leaders get wrong about how AI will change the support world?
People think it's like black and white. It's either going to replace my full workforce or, I'm just going to be fully human-powered support. It's not black and white. The power is in like augmentation, your human workforce, and, leveraging AI for some simple, more repetitive requests. Finding the best, unique combination of this, how to build this organization where you have AI agents working on specific things and you have human agents. That's why we're really excited, partnering with you guys as well, building this reliable, ethical AI, which is helping humans to be elevated. We always say we're not eliminating CX jobs, we're elevating CX jobs.
Chyngyz, welcome to Founders and Empanadas. Привет, как дела?
Thanks. Oh, I was not expecting that. Хорошо.
Хорошо.
So great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Bienvenido, welcome. Cheers. Let's get in here.
Excited.
All right, I got a beef
Mine
one.
Beef,
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, chicken is coming next.
Yeah.
So, Chyngyz, super excited to have you on. It's been amazing to see Kodif's growth. I remember back in early 2023, we were going through on-deck scale together, and it's cool to see how your product has evolved since then. And today will really be a masterclass into how to leverage AI for support teams.
Yeah.
And no one better to bring on than you.
Yeah, thanks. Really appreciate, you having me here. I remember it's been, I think 2 years, but I think it feels like it's been a century, in terms of the pace of innovation. I think we live in a very different world now, from every perspective. And excited to share more about Kodif, what we're trying to build, and some customer success stories.
Amazing. So walk me through, and the audience, through the Kodif origin story.
Yeah.
What were some of the pain points that maybe Norm felt at Uber, and how did you decide on building for this industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So quick background. So I'm Chyngyz. I'm a founder and CEO at Kodif. Kodif, we're building AI agents for customer support for mid-market enterprise companies. And the founding story goes back to my co-founder, our CTO, Norm. So I credit a lot of this inspiration and all these ideas to him because he was at Uber for around 5-6 years. And he was part of this team called Customer Obsession, which is the engineering arm of Uber building for customer support. And as you know, Uber is probably one of the most automated companies, in terms of customer support. If you use Uber Eats, click the help section in the app, every automation you see there is powered by this platform called Policy Engine. And Norm was the number one engineer who started working on this project internally. Then he scaled this to a team of 10, 15 engineers, and he became the manager of that team. Quick stats of this platform's impact. I think Uber is saving $5 billion a year. It's automating around 80% of customer support requests. And basically, the whole experience Norm had at Uber was, super valuable for us to actually learn from and apply it to more companies. And the whole idea was to what if we bring Uber-like capabilities for companies which don't have an army of engineers? And as you know, customer support is one of the most important functions, but they always lack engineering resources. They lack, attention from leadership. So, and we wanted to bridge this gap by bringing easy to use tools for companies which are, really obsessed about their customers, but they don't have an army of engineers like Uber. So we're basically bridging that gap. And in terms of the insight, I think we had basically two insights, when we started Kodif. First, we thought customer support should be actionable. So customers should be able not to just, get the response, which is here's how you should go and get the refund, but actually getting a refund using, customer-facing experience. So, and fast forward to today, it seems obvious because, everything is agentic AI is all about actions. But we started this with this idea of enabling customers to take ultimate action and being able to resolve problems, not just getting an article or FAQ piece where I should go and log into my account and do stuff myself. And second insight was actually about enabling non-technical business teams to build and maintain these AI agents. I know you guys are going through certification with us.
Yeah.
Really excited how that will go. But we're enabling non-technicals, super smart people who are subject matter experts who can understand and build the AI agent they want. And I think that's the ultimate flexibility we want to give to non-technical teams so that they can design really cool AI agents and they can scale their automation like from like zero automation to like, 60, 70, 80%. So
Amazing.
that's what we're building.
And shout out to Jose and Lendl, who just completed their Kodif certification.
Yes. Yes.
I love it.
Yes. Lendl. Yep.
Awesome. So which workflows for support teams would you say are the easiest to automate, and which ones are deceptively challenging?
It seems like, so in terms of workflows, like we look at, we primarily work with companies which sell physical goods online. And as a result, we deal with a lot of this like repetitive workflows and things like in certain workflows, like, where's my order is probably the easiest one to automate. But whenever you have to deal with multiple systems, multiple contacts, I think this is where it gets a bit harder. But it's not even about the workflow itself. It's actually about, are you ready for AI? Because I think a lot of companies think, I'm going to just buy AI and I'm going to just put it to work. It's so far from truth, because AI, unlike this traditional SaaS companies, it's so it's so uncertain. It's like stochastic, it's probabilistic by nature, right? That's the beauty of it. But the flip side of it, if you change something in your knowledge base, probably you need to make sure that AI is up to date. And the way I kind of explain this to our customers is like, imagine you're onboarding a team member. So what you want to give to your team member in terms of successful onboarding, you want to make sure that they have access to all the systems, up-to-date knowledge. And I think the workflows is probably like important, but probably secondary. The first one is like, are you ready in terms of your knowledge base? And we call this AI readiness. And we kind of score companies, like from 1 to 10. Like if you're like 5, 6, we're probably like, hey, probably we need to do some foundational work, because we don't want to put AI to a place where, it won't be successful. And then getting people ready to adopt AI, I think this has been maybe one of the most like rewarding experiences, because you enable them with all this like knowledge base structure, with all this like infrastructure, and then you take AI and automate stuff. So so for me, it's less about workflows, it's more about, are you ready? Like and talking about this AI readiness checklist.
Very well said. And I've seen the same thing where just a lot of the best practices that support teams can have in place of proper documentation, SOPs for new hires, directly translates to how well their agentic AI is going to perform.
Yeah. And it's not even like for AI agents, right? It's few human agents as well. Like you want to be so organized, so like, and even like, for example, we recently built a feature, we call it like segmentation. So the way I defined it was like, if you think about knowledge base as a library, right? You, as a company, you have a knowledge base, like probably like so many articles everywhere. And the way we thought about this was like from first principles, we're like, hey, humans, when we buy something, like for example, books, we go to the bookstore, we go to the library, we organize, right? Knowledge like by sections. Like we have science fiction section, we have business section. And we were like, why don't AI agents have the same structure? So we built this feature called segmentation or tagging, so where our customers can define, let's say, this knowledge base, because I'll give you an example, right? We have a customer, they sell this digital frames, it's a pretty big company in the US, and they're present in Germany, US, UK, Canada, and US, UK, Canada, they all have the same English, right? The same language. And the return policy, it sounds very similar, like how to return an item in Canada. Oh, like how to return they don't say Canada because, And then the company was, the use case there was that we really wanted to enable. And then another kind of example of in the same bucket would be like a company might have a buyer and seller, like two sides of the marketplace. And there could be in the same like content, like sounds very similar, like content which sounds very similar could be tailored for buyers or sellers. But then, AI agent might confuse, and they can like pull up Canadian return policy showed to UK customer, or return policy for a buyer showed to a seller. It could be a mess. So we built this feature, for example, right, where you can now define this is the section, which is this is a business section, this is science fiction, and so AI agent actually can go and find the relevant article and provide really accurate response. So all these challenges with knowledge base, it's actually also telling us how we should design our system, how configurable it should be. So there are some interesting product design decisions we've made because of that.
Yeah, it's interesting when those little nuanced decisions where a human may be good about hey, I'm just going to reach out to my supervisor and ask which one I should do, but an AI agent might just predict or hallucinate a response to give.
Yeah.
I'm curious how you've found and empowered support teams to be able to identify those hallucinations and turn it off or retrain it.
Yeah. So the big thing for us is, is testing. So testing, and we built a pretty robust testing framework where we simulate conversations. We simulate thousands and thousands, and AI is so good at it. You can generate so many tests. You can say simulate me a conversation where customer is trying to get a return and they're unhappy with the outcome. And then AI goes and generates this back and forth conversation. And then we actually test AI agents against this. So this is pre-launch, right? So this is pre-launch. So you test it, you feel good, you release it to production. After that, we have this, kind of very gradual rollout as well plan. So typically we ask for the appetite from customers. Sometimes customers are oh, let's go. But sometimes we say hey, let's release this to 5-10% of customers. The larger the scale of a customer, the more careful we are because, we can impact millions of customers. So we release it to 5-10%, and then we're okay, let's go back. And we have this QA module where we can actually go and against a rubric, we can say okay, let's evaluate these conversations. And our goal is to get to 95% accuracy. This is when we are okay, this is safe to roll out to 20%, take a step back, review them again, and then release to 100%. So we have some, some rituals, pre-launch and post-launch, and I think it's been resonating with clients as well.
When you look 2 to 3 years out, what would you say most support leaders get wrong about how AI will change the support world?
People think it's black and white, it's oh, this is going to replace my human workforce. And I'm sure you saw this we talked about this as well with the CEO of Klarna, right? Last year, around this time, they were all AI all the way, right? Right now, he completely U-turned, right? He's no, actually, I want to make sure that humans are there. So, and I think the thing which I think a lot of, I think people are already getting there, but some people get wrong about this is that it's either going to replace my full workforce or, I'm just going to be fully human powered support. And it's not black and white. It's actually I think the power is in augmentation, your human workforce, and, leveraging AI for some simple, more repetitive requests. And I think the way you combine this two, and I think finding the best unique combination of this, when to leverage who and how to build this organization where you have AI agents working on specific things and you have human agents. I think that's how we think, this is how that's why we're really excited, partnering with you guys as well, building this reliable, ethical AI, which is helping humans to be elevated, in terms of we always say we're not eliminating CX jobs, we're elevating CX jobs, so I think that's definitely very core to our mission. Another thing which we always talk about is you guys, right? BPOs, right? You're trusted partners of companies, and there is a gap, there's a trust, credibility gap between AI solutions and customers, and I think you're the perfect bridge. And the bridge between AI to customers in not only the way they trust you, but also you can become an expert in their business, but also expert in the tool. And you can combine those two things and build really cool solutions and say hey, by the way, we are leveraging AI agents for these things, but we could deploy our human agents to do more sales stuff, So it feels like, we can give some more leverage to humans like role. And then, for example, the way I see our partnership is that you guys are also like building and maintaining this AI agents, because our goal is to build a platform and to enable businesses to prosper and leverage the state of the art AI agents. And we need partners who can actually get to understand the business and also like understand the solution.
Yeah, I'm very excited about the future roles for NEO workers
Yeah.
especially the ones going through their Kodif certification right now.
Yeah.
It might not be supervising a bunch of human agents, but supervising AI agents. Is
Exactly.
the next role.
Exactly, right? I mean, to your point is like, you have team leaders, right? Who are like, we're supervising human agents, and they're like giving feedback, they're evaluating them, like training and coaching. Same stuff with AI agents, It's the way I always say is like the mindset should be not like you're onboarding a software tool, but you're onboarding AI teammate, right? This is when you like have higher expectations, and it should be. And as a result, but you also need to invest more, like resources. Like, if you're bringing a teammate versus you're bringing a software tool, your mindset is a bit different in terms of like the effort you put in. And, it's like, I always say it's like a gym, like like you bought it, it doesn't mean anything. It means how much effort you're going to put in order to get the return on investment, right? It's basically a gym membership. So same with AI tools, I think. So the more you invest, the more ROI you're going to get.
And I still see a place for humans for escalated issues, sitting in the customer's shoes that sometimes can feel like, oh, this company isn't taking my issues seriously if it's only AI that's doing the resolution. And there is a place for AI handling all that tier one or directly easily solvable tickets, and
absolutely
nuance for more escalated.
I think it's going to be I think humans role, I think it's escalation definitely, and sometimes like you have this bad customer experience, and because your support agents are so busy just firefighting, reacting to tickets and solving tickets, you don't have time to actually reach out, maybe save a customer, right? So those opportunities can be also flagged by AI saying like, hey, maybe this is a good candidate to reach out and maybe like, save a customer. And so I think I 100% agree with you that humans' role will be like there. And it's just all about like, finding this like synergy between human agents and AI agents.
Now, I'd love to spend a little bit of time talking about security with you. I feel like it's often underrepresented topic in the world of AI. And, you've got all the LinkedIn influencers that are saying, like DeepSeek is going to change the world. It's like, guys, like, this is going to be all information flowing through China. And you never know when a Chinese government official is going to like hold their family hostage to get those databases. So it's especially important to me because we work a lot in the health tech space where there's a lot of personal identifiable information running through AI. Right? Yep. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on AI best practices and maybe things to look out for when considering which AI vendor to work with.
Yeah, I think 100% you need to be really like vigilant, about security practices of your AI vendor, like 100%. There's a checklist of things, I think I wrote a blog post on this like a while ago about how to run a security check. And I mean, you start with basics, right? It's like, hey, do you like, where do you store your data? Like, are you SOC 2 Type 2 compliant? Are you HIPAA compliant? So, I mean, there are a bunch of this, certificates you should be able to see if you're buying this from a vendor. Another one is like, what do you do with the data, with PHI data? Do you like mask it? Do you store it? What do you do with it? Like what's your like practices, I think. And it should be very well documented practice by the company. And they should be able to tell you like, no, we never store your data. Your PHI data never goes to LLM, because one of the things is like, oh, like PHI, right? Data, like you're talking to a chat, and if you're sharing some very like sensitive data, which is like PII or PHI or whatever, and you need to make sure that this data doesn't really go to LLMs. And vendors might say like, hey, yeah, we have this like zero storage policy with our AI solutions, but I think you should go even beyond that, especially healthcare. I think in fintech clients. Another one is like, what do you do with the data? Do you train? Do you take my data and like train your AI on this? This is another question you should be asking. And I guess, like there's a pretty like robust checklist of things you can do. And I mentioned some of those. And I think one big question is like, hey, like show me just clients you work with, Can I just not like even show like how they're using it, but like tell me like how many healthcare clients you have, how many fintech clients you have. So it will enable, I think, for a brand to build trust very quickly. So, and I guess like, compliance with all these securities is, it's like everyone thinks like, we need to invest this many engineering hours into like making this secure. Like we also always do pen tests, like we also have red team, like, which is kind of, trying to break our AI agents so that, they can like kind of hijack through prompt engineering.
Yep.
We always do that. So, so there's some practices you can do on the defense side, but people are getting creative all the time. So you need to be always like, okay, how we can, increase the level of security. And yeah, man, it's a fascinating topic and it's so fast moving. And it's like, the mindset we have is like, it's whenever like you don't have a problem, you're like, we should not invest in this. We shouldn't be like, because we need to build this cool feature. But then when things happen, you're like, oh shit, right? It's like, I think in hindsight, I think it just, this kind of situations, and we haven't had the moment, I think. We call it like, there was an FTX moment in crypto, right? And we haven't had this moment yet, I think. But I'm afraid there will be some in the next couple of years where, because of negligence of AI tools or AI platforms, there'll be some ugly stuff. So, this what keeps me up at night, to be honest, like how I make sure that we're building a very reliable, secure system from data privacy perspective. So, to your point, it's in a DeepSeek, right, and everything like that. It's like, even everyone has their own like, so even like we have a couple of European customers, right? And the GDPR and like AI data policy they adopted, it's like, it's pretty strict. So, I mean, you need to be evolving your thinking as well. So, for example, if you want to do business in Europe, like, we are compliant with those standards because of new rules and rules are changing. So, like, you need to be like always looking out for those.
Absolutely. Which role would you say has been the most challenging one to align with, or you had to make the most product updates to comply with?
Oh, you mean which? Oh man, I think HIPAA. I think. You mean which industry?
Yeah.
I would say healthcare most likely.
Yeah.
Like I think healthcare people take it. I mean, and as they should be, right? This is about health of our patients, our customers' patients, and they take super seriously this. Like it's crazy. Like the level of scrutiny we go through, it's insane. I think no. We also work with a bunch of e-commerce companies. It's not close. It's like so far from that level of scrutiny we undergo with healthcare clients.
Yeah, healthcare is a tricky one because you've got still a bunch of antiquated systems of like faxing documents with within one PDF having all the details that it's difficult to anonymize or mask because it's just the nature of the document type itself and handwritten items. Yep. I'd actually love to talk to you a little bit about that as well. You had a LinkedIn post. This was probably over a year ago, but I absolutely loved it, about first generation entrepreneurs and you coming from Kyrgyzstan. And, I'd love to hear a little bit more about maybe how it's benefited you in the entrepreneurial journey and any tips you can give to other first generation entrepreneurs.
Ah, man, that's a good question. So I grew up watching my mom. It was 1990s, Soviet Union just collapsed. And my mom, she was educated as a doctor. And it was a very prestigious, job, back in Soviet Union. But in 1991, no one cares. So, And my mom, she had to start from basically scratch, and she had to go, to Uzbekistan, to neighboring countries. She started reselling goods. And so she started basically building her first kind of small business, right? And I saw her she's a huge inspiration to me. And when I was in the US, when I came from my business school, I thought about this, like different options. Like a bunch of my classmates went into consulting and were investment banking, private equity, venture capital. Some of them went to tech, work as PMs or in strategy roles for Google, Facebook, Meta, and other companies. And I spoke with my mom, and it occurred to me that when my mom was starting her first small venture, it was an entrepreneurship because of, I would say, necessity. In my entrepreneurship, I was so lucky because, my mom, I think as we all are, I think we're standing on the shoulders of giants, which is our parents, right? So for me, this was like a moment where I was talking to her. She's like, hey, I started this because of necessity, but you're in a position to start this out of opportunity. And you're in the US, you're in the best place to start and build your own company. And so that's kind of stuck with me. And so that's what inspired me to start a company here in the US. So I was like, if my mom in 1990s, she was like 24, she had 2 kids, unemployed, with no money, with like country collapsed, and she started the company and she was successful. I was like, I cannot complain, right? And I think this mindset, I think we all have it. We all immigrant founders have it because we came from in order for us to be here, we came from a very, very far distance. There were a lot of challenges, and I feel like that's what keeps me, inspired and energized, is that I've come so far, and I was born in a very small village in the south of Kyrgyzstan. I'm the first person from my country who ever graduated from Stanford Business School with an MBA degree. So this is what I remind myself when I have some tough days. And right, every entrepreneur has so many ups and downs. It's not even ups and I don't even say even sometimes ups and downs can happen in one day.
Oh yeah.
You close the biggest customer in the morning, and then you have a big problem later in the day, right? I think you have this and I think what I think being an immigrant and building a company here, I think what this resilience, I think, is something we have, and people have who I think people who overcame the adversity, and they, despite the odds, we made it here, right? So, and when 10 years ago someone would have told me, Chyngyz, you're gonna graduate from business school, first from your country, you're gonna raise a bunch of venture capital money, you'll hire amazing individuals, you're gonna work with world-class brands in the US, partner with amazing people like Josh, I would be like, this is like magic, right? And so sometimes in the thick of entrepreneurial challenges on a daily basis, we forget about them. We will forget about those moments. We've made it so far. And so just being grateful, and I think that's what I think gives me my background, And I think this is a superpower. I think we have as immigrants, and being grateful, but at the same time, it's having this mindset of this is not enough, So I think balancing these two, being grateful, and at the same time saying we can do more, we can do better. I think these are two things probably I took from my mom, from other immigrant founders, and yeah, I think this is what makes me super excited about this.
Well, happy Mother's Day to your mom.
Yes,
she sounds like an incredible woman.
She is.
What was her first business when she?
So yeah, she's in Kyrgyzstan.
Okay,
so she started. So in 1990s, she started actually reselling just shoes and clothes. It was a country that was basically starving. So she had to go, and it was the first business she did. But then in 1997, she started her first pharmacy shop. So she started actually bringing drugs and medical supplies from other places and actually reselling them. And then she built the second pharmacy shop. At some point she owned 5 or 7 of those. in a small hometown, in hometown where I'm from. And she, at some point, I think she was acknowledged as like maybe the best women entrepreneur in like 2011 or something. So she's amazing. And then I think she started buying real estate. She started investing. So, and she's a huge inspiration. Yeah.
Lots of parallels I hear with my family.
Yeah.
So my uncle, when he came from Ukraine, one of his first businesses was in pharmaceuticals as well, selling that. And my dad did some real estate. Basically, the recurring theme is just like random businesses, and to your earlier point, like finding ways to survive from that, whether it's construction or selling boxes, whatever it takes, it goes. And then we, very well said, we have the luxury of being able to build not out of a place of necessity, but out of a place of just joy and alignment with
with
where we're building to. Awesome. And Chyngyz, on our podcast, we like to talk a bit about founder mental health as well. So on those days where it's a crazy roller coaster, and close the big lead, and then you get 2 punches to the face. What are some best practices that you've found for just kind of maintaining that resilience?
Yeah, I think entrepreneurship for me is, I always thought, it's a journey about finding product market fit. It's a journey about building a team and becoming a great leader. Yes, this is all true, but I think most importantly, I think it's, I call it like the journey of personal discovery. I think how you overcome challenges, how you don't give up, how you keep pushing. I think entrepreneurship is all about that. I think it's less about anything else, but I think that's why I have huge respect for entrepreneurs who are building their companies, who built their companies. So it's a very tough but very rewarding journey. So the way I kind of manage this, I try to manage this is, in my mind, like I'm having fun. Like actually, like I'm trying to have fun. Like it's like no one is forcing me to do this, like I'm doing this because it's fun. And I'm hiring people I like to work with, people I admire, I work with, investors I admire. So, and we talked about this, right? If I didn't start this company, I would never met you, right? I met so many other wonderful people, because I started this. So I always constantly remind myself I mean, yes, I'm getting punches in the face, but what I got as well, because, we sometimes like think about the negative side of things, but what are the positive things, right? It's like, it's amazing. Like you built a great team. You have customers who love your product. You're changing lives of your teammates. You're changing life of, your family. Like there are so many good things coming with this. And I think and I kind of have a journal, like, I have like this small journal, which is next to my nightstand. And I always write 5 things I'm grateful for. And, this is actually keeps me like really like grounded and like appreciate, what I have. So that's definitely a big part of my routine. Another just, it's basic stuff, but I mean, sleep hasn't been like super easy recently because I had a baby, but otherwise I think sleep was a big thing for me. Like, always like sleep, like going to the gym, exercising. And for me, like, I'm personally like, I am a very like people person. So I like hanging out with people. And one thing which we did, which really impacted my mental health, I think we brought our core product and engineering team members in person. And we hang out a lot. We have our weekly lunches where we go around the table, we share highlights and lowlights, and it's pretty cool. I think this energy I get by being around my people, by my teammates. Also, I have some friends, like, and living in the Bay Area, I think I feel I'm so lucky just to be here because I have my classmates, I have my founder friends, and we go and we share, like our days. And sometimes, someone is having a great day and someone is having not a great day. And seeing people who are actually going through the same thing, it just helps you so much. So I think community is so important. So being in the right community, taking care of yourself, and being grateful, I think these are the my recipes, I would say, you know.
Totally agree with you there. It's entrepreneurship can be a very lonely journey at times. So finding that peer group to share the other punches in the face that you got that same day and hear what they got to like 10 times multiplied what you received. It's puts it all into perspective.
Exactly. Oh man, yeah. Like I was talking to my friend like a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, oh man, I'm having such a horrible week. I'm like, you know, like this and this and this, and like, you know, like you're fundraising, you're like, oh, you know, this our runway is this much, and then you think you're not doing well, and then like he shares like, hold on, and he shares his story, and you're like, whoa, dude, how can I help you, right? It's like it's just everything is relative, you know, and yeah, I guess, and what I tell myself always is like, there's so many people who wanted to be where I am today, you know, so like, especially from a place where I come from. So like, yeah, you know, just you get a punch. You're like, okay, fine, you know, let's go. And I think there's this book, Good to Great by Jim Collins, and he interviewed this guy. His name is his last name was Stockdale. He was I think a veteran of Vietnamese War, and he was captured, and he was like. He was held hostage, I think, for many, many years. And he has a very, 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 very like impressive quote about why he was able to make it. He just had this unwavering belief that he will make it regardless. And he said like the people who suffered the most were like optimists, because they would be like, oh, I will be out by Thanksgiving. I'll be out by Christmas. And this would never come. And they would break their heart and they would die. But this guy was, I think, I don't remember how many years, but it was like 10 or 15 years in prison. And he had this unwavering belief that I'm just going to make it. He just like, he was not putting a date. He was not putting any like constraints. He was just saying, I'm just going to make it. And he made it. And he was a professor at Stanford. So after he was, you know, released. So I feel like that's kind of the mindset I think we should all have as entrepreneurs. It's like, we're going to make it, you know? And to me, like, entrepreneurship is just, you know, it's a resilience.
Yep.
It's a resilience thing, number one, because if you try like 1,000 times or 10,000 times, finally one shot will be successful, you know? It's just, someone will give up after 10 attempts, someone will give up after like 1,000. And I think this mindset of like Stockdale, right, which is like, I'm just gonna make it. I know, like I just keep pushing and keep my attempts going. So
yeah, one of the biggest causes of burnout is investing time and energy into a project and not working out. Yeah. And yeah, the most successful entrepreneurs are the ones that are able to overcome that and not have high expectations and just look on to the next project.
Yeah, I think the mindset, right? It's like, I mean, yeah, because I remember I had this as well when I was like, oh, I'm going to launch this project. It's going to be so successful. And then you launch and no one cares, right? It's like, this is what breaks your heart. This is what makes it tough. And now I changed my mindset completely. Like everything is a hypothesis. I think, and the mindset is like now, it's like out of 100 things I'm going to try this year, 98 of them will fail. 2 will be successful, because it's more likely that this thing will not work than it will work. But I need to make sure like I put enough effort, I do my best, and I make this 100 attempts very well. And then like, and yeah, like, you know, up until 98, I'm still within the norm, right? So like, I'm like, I keep pushing. So I think there's a lot of this self-pep talk you should be like, and also like, I personally remind myself, like whenever I'm having a bad day, I'm like, dude, like you're, you know, in Silicon Valley, you're building like, you know, in one of the hottest markets on the planet right now. And even the fact that, you know, like, I mean, if you lose a deal against competitor, right, you lost against like maybe the most famous entrepreneur, you know, in your space. And yes, you lost, but I mean, compared to like the way I think about this, like at least I was here and I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to try again. But eventually, you know, like I came from very far. I'm here. I'm in the same room with these people, you're doing good. You're doing fine. You're not failing. You're good. So I think this what helps me like going.
Totally. Yep. Chyngyz, what's one strongly held belief that you have that you'd say 90% of other founders would disagree with?
Oh man. I mean, I wouldn't say it's very like I think people we talk about focus all the time. But I would like say, focus is something that is really like important, but at the same time, it's like it has a flip side and it has a flip side. So I feel like in the beginning, focus is dangerous. I think this is what everyone says, like, oh, you need to focus, focus, focus. But in my mind, like, I would say, like, in the beginning of your journey, you should go very broad, because if you like so believe in your idea so much, you have so much confirmation bias around your idea, you go and like look for these confirmations, and then like, but you build something and then like no one cares. I think this is where you're like in trap. So I think for me, like in the beginning, like if I'm trying to build something for you, Joshua, right? I'm not gonna come and ask questions about the next time I would start a company. I wouldn't go and ask questions about what my hypothesis is. I would just go and I would have an open-ended conversation with you, like for 3 hours, just to understand, so that you unpromptedly bring up some problem which you think is worth solving for you. So I think, when you come with your own like beliefs, this and also belief, and it makes you focus on this problem so much that you ignore everything else. So, and in the beginning, it's pretty dangerous. But then very quickly, you need to go on the opposite spectrum. You need to be like, once you find that, you need to become hyper focused, which is like, so that you should be so like focused that it's uncomfortable for VCs to talk to you, because they're like, oh, he's just going after such a small niche. Like, no, I don't want to talk to them. So I think like uncomfortable focus, and it changes so fast, like from being like broad and like, not focused because you really want to get to a problem or pain point. But then like at the moment you find that, validate it, like in one day you should go like crazy, like on the crazy end of the spectrum. So, and I think because people talk about focus more like generally, right? Like, oh, you should be focused. But I think in the beginning, it will hurt more than it will give you benefit. And later, it will kill you, like if you're not focused, So that's kind of how I think about this.
Yeah. And I've seen so many startups fall into that trap early on of in their user interviews wanting to validate their believing, and sometimes confirmation bias happens with the interviewee of wanting to agree or
leading questions, right? It's like you ask a leading question, like, oh, like you don't ask like, tell me your day. You don't start like that. You say like, oh, like when you solve this ticket, what systems do you use, right? Oh, like, is it painful? Like, yeah, it's painful.
From a scale of like 8 to 10, how painful is it?
Exactly. 8 to 10.
8 being really bad.
Yes, it was like 9, and it's like, why not 10, right? Like, and you're like,
9.5 at least, come on.
And then and then you come out and like, we found this, right? Yeah. And then you go and spend 3 months building and like come back, no one cares. And it's like, I would be now like, no, tell me about your day. Oh. And then you share, it's like, which part of your day, you're most excited. So not only the pain, just talk, get to know the person, get to know their job and role, and if you want to build for them. And you need to love the people you're building for as well. That's what I learned. It's like, you need to enjoy spending time with them. 100%. And then it feels like you're having fun, Yep. Because in my mind, it's like, this is what I remind myself as well. It's like, I started this because I want to have fun. Like because life is too short to do something that you don't like. And I remember I worked for a big company in the past, and I would be like excited for Fridays. Man, I would be like, oh, today is Thursday. Oh, tomorrow is Friday. And then there's a weekend. I would be so excited and then Monday I'm like, oh man, again. So, okay. And the reason I think now is like, I'm so excited about like, and Friday I'm like, what? Is this it? I have so much stuff to do. And you're like, okay, I need to recharge and I'll come back. And Monday, I'm so excited to be back, right? I think this is why I started this, and like I want to have fun, you know?
I think deep down, all of us entrepreneurs are selfishly just building this for our own, like
Yeah,
being at a place of play. Like
yes,
I do karaoke sessions with my team just because I want to play karaoke.
exactly, right? It's like exactly. So, and also, you know, like to your point, is like there are no playbooks.
No.
Like there are no playbooks. Like you, like Joshua, you have your own playbook of building a network. I have my own playbook. Like, and I think sometimes we want to try this. We want to find the shortcuts, how to do this, how to do that. Like no, like this, you know, bring like authentic yourself. Like because the company or the team around you is like, it's basically like you like under microscope, basically. Like, you know, because you're replicating yourself. You're hiring people who share the values of you, you know, they think like you, and you know they care about things you care about. So I think you're kind of replicating your vision yourself to the world, right? You're like bringing something, and so everything you do is just like the service you provide, the, you know, the product you're building, like partnerships you have, it's all replication of you as a person. And at the same time, like, you know, there's no playbook how to build a software company. You know, there are some best practices, but you know, when I think I heard this from somewhere, which is like someone telling you like, oh, this is what you should do, is like, it's like giving your like their lottery ticket number. It's like, hey, this lottery ticket number won me like $1 million. You should buy the same lottery ticket. It's like, no, it was different time.
Yeah.
It was different conditions, different people, different circumstances. And I think, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of reminding this myself, like, you know, like we should have fun, you know, it's all about having fun and building something.
And at the end of the day, we're all just on a little speck floating through space.
Oh,
We don't need to take things too seriously.
Exactly.
It's all gonna be okay.
Exactly. Yes, it's going to be all okay. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Chyngyz, thank you so much
Yeah.
for coming on and enjoying some empanadas with me.
Yes.
And where
This
can
is-
people find out more about you and
Yeah.
about Kodif online?
So I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Chyngyz Dzhumanazarov. My last name is pretty hard to pronounce. Our website is kodif.ai. So if you're looking for partners who can help you, you know, in this AI journey, for customer support specifically, I think we would be excited to talk to you. And yeah, thanks for having me. This is fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, thanks so much.
Awesome.
Cheers.
Thanks, man. Cool, man.